Welcome back. Let's read some more. I'm eating some candy and uploading video. It's 8 p.m. So let's start reading before it's too late. Because I like to make a video in my language Danish about this airport later tonight. And all these big airports I like to read about.
Frankfurt Airport. For other uses, see Frankfurt Airport, disambiguation. Frankfurt Airport, German, Flughafen Frankfurt Main, Flughafen Man, IATA, FIA, ICAO, EDDF, is Germany's main international airport by passenger numbers, located in Frankfurt, Germany's fifth largest city. In the German Aeronautical Information publication, its name is Frankfurt Main Airport. The airport is operated by Fraport and serves as the main hub for Lufthansa, including Lufthansa CityLine and Lufthansa Cargo as well as Condor and Aerologic. It covers an area of 2,300 hectares, 5,683 acres, of land and features two passenger terminals with capacity for approximately 65 million passengers per year, 4 runways, and extensive logistics and maintenance facilities. Frankfurt Airport is the busiest airport by passenger traffic in Germany as well as the 6th busiest in Europe after Istanbul Airport, London Heathrow, Paris Charles de Gaulle, Amsterdam Airports Schiphol and Adolfo Suarez Madrid Barajas Airport. The airport is also the 13th busiest worldwide by total number of passengers in 2016, with 60.786 million passengers using the airport in 2016. In 2017, Frankfurt Airport handled 64.5 million passengers and nearly 70 million in 2018. It also had a freight throughput of 2.076 million metric tons in 2015 and is the busiest airport in Europe by cargo traffic. As of 2022, Frankfurt Airport serves 330 destinations in 5 continents, making it the airport with the most direct routes in the world. The southern side of the airport ground was home to the Rhine-Main Air Base, which was a major air base for the United States from 1947 until 2005, when the air base was closed and the property was acquired by Fraport, now occupied by Terminal 3. The airport celebrated its 80th anniversary in July 2016. Location, edit. Frankfurt Airport lies 12 kilometers, 7.5 mi, southwest of central Frankfurt, near the Autobahn interchange Frankfurt-KIUZ, where 2 of the most heavily used motorways in Europe, a 3 and a 5, meet. The airport grounds, which form a city district of Frankfurt named Frankfurt Flughafen, are surrounded by the Frankfurt City Forest. The southern portion of the airport grounds extend partially into the towns of Russelsheim Main and Moorfelden Waldorf, and a western portion of the grounds lie within the town of Kelsterbach. The airport is centrally located in the Frankfurt/Rhine-Main region, Germany's third largest metropolitan region, which itself has a central location in the densely populated region of the West Central European megalopolis. Thereby, along with a strong rail and motorway connection, the airport serves as a major transport node for the greater region, less than 2 hours by ground to Cologne, the Ruhr area, and Stuttgart. History, edit. This section needs additional citations for verification. Please help improve this article by adding citations to reliable sources in this section. Unsourced material may be challenged and removed. November 2016. Learn how and when to remove this template message. First airport, edit. On the 16th of November 1909, the world's first airline was founded in Frankfurt am Main, the Deutsche Luftverkehrsaktiengesellschaft, DELAG. DELAG then built the first airport in Frankfurt, called Airship Base at Rebstock, which was located in Bockenheim in the western part of the city and was primarily used for airships in the beginning. It opened in 1912 and was extended after World War I, but in 1924, an expert's report already questioned the possibility of further expansions at this location. With the foundation of Deutsche Lufthansa in 1926, a rapid boom of civilian air travel started, and soon the airship base became too small to handle the demand. Plans for a new and larger airport located in the Frankfurt city forest southwest of Schwanheim were approved in 1930 but were not realized due to the Great Depression. After the Marktgrefung in 1933, the government revived the plans and started the construction of the new airport. Current airport, edit. A two-story station building with a six-story tower originated in 1935 on the northern part of the airport, as well as other operating and outbuildings for maintenance and storage of aircraft. The approximately 100 hectares runway received a grass cover. The official opening of the new Flug- und Lufthafen Rhein-Main took place on the 8th of July, 1936. The first plane that landed was a Ju-52/3M. 6 days later, on the 14th of July, 1936, LZ-127 Graf Zeppelin landed at the airport. In 1936, 800 tons of cargo and 58,000 passengers were transported, and in 1937 these figures increased to 70,000 passengers and 966 tons of cargo. In the coming years, the new airport was the home base for the two largest German airships, LZ-127 Graf Zeppelin and LZ-129 Hindenburg. In 1938, Frankfurt was a central distribution point for the transport of airmail to North America. On the 6th of May, 1937, the Hindenburg, flying from Frankfurt to New York City, exploded shortly before it was scheduled to dock at Lakehurst. 36 people died. The accident marked the end of scheduled airship traffic and the end of the airship era. World War II, edit. After the beginning of World War II in 1939, all foreign airlines left the airport, and control of air traffic was transferred to the Luftwaffe. The airships were dismantled and their huge hangars demolished on the 6th of May, 1940 during conversion of the base to military use. Luftwaffe engineers subsequently extended the single runway, and erected hangars and other facilities for German military aircraft. On the 9th of May, 1940, the first bombers took off to attack France. From August to November 1944, a concentration camp was established in Waldorf, close to the airport site, where Jewish female prisoners were forced to work for the airport. The Allies of World War II destroyed the runway system with airstrikes in 1944, and the Wehrmacht blew up buildings and fuel depots in 1945, shortly before the U.S. Army took control of the airport on the 25th of March, 1945. After the German instrument of surrender, the war in Europe ended and the U.S. Army started to build a new temporary runway at Frankfurt Airport. The southern part of the airport ground was occupied to build the Rhein-Main Air Base as an Air Force base for the United States Air Forces in Europe. Berlin Airlift, edit. In 1948, the Soviet Union blocked the Western Allies' rail and road access to the sectors of West Berlin under Allied control. Their aim was to force the Western powers to allow the Soviet zone to start supplying Berlin with food and fuel, thereby giving the Soviets practical control over the entire city. In response, the Western Allies organized the Berlin airlift to carry supplies via air to the people in West Berlin. The airports in Frankfurt, Hamburg and Hanover were the primary bases for Allied aircraft. The heavy use of these so-called Raisin bombers caused damage to the runway in Frankfurt and forced the US Army to build a second parallel runway. The airlift ended in September 1949 after the Soviet Union ended their blockade. Growth of the airport, edit. In 1951, restrictions for German air travelers were lifted and civil air traffic started to grow again. In 1952, Frankfurt Airport handled more than 400,000 passengers. A year later it was more than 500,000. About 100 to 120 aeroplanes took off from and landed in Frankfurt daily. In 1955, Lufthansa resumed flights to and from Frankfurt, and in the same year the Federal Republic of Germany gained its air sovereignty back from the Allies. In 1957, the northern runway was extended, first to 3,000 m, 9,843 feet, and then to 3,900 m, 12,795 feet, to make it compatible with jet aircraft. The airport did not emerge as a major international airline hub until 1958, when a new passenger terminal called Empfangsanlageost, Terminal East, literally Arrival Facility East, opened in the northeast corner of the airport site. Only 4 years later it was clear that the terminal was already too small for the demand. In 1961, Frankfurt already had 2.2 million passengers and 81,000 takeoffs and landings, making it the second busiest airport in Europe behind Heathrow Airport, London. In 1962, it was decided to build an even larger terminal with a capacity of 30 million passengers per year. Work on this terminal began in 1965. The southern runway was extended to 3,750 m, 12,303 feet, in 1964. In 1970, a new hangar was inaugurated. This accommodated 6 jet aircraft and was the world's largest hangar at the time. The new main terminal, edit. The new terminal, called Terminal MIT, Central Terminal, today known as Terminal 1, is divided into 3 concourses, A, B and C, with 56 gates and an electric baggage handling system. Everything opened to the public on the 14th of March, 1972. It was assumed that the terminal capacity would be sufficient for the next 30 years. Along with the new terminal, a railway station, Frankfurt Airport Station, was opened, the first airport railway station in the Federal Republic of Germany. A few days later the old Empfangsanlageost was closed. The third runway, edit. Planning for a third runway, called Startbahn 18 West, began in 1973. This project spawned massive protests by residents and environmentalists. The main points of conflict were increasing noise and pollution and the cutting down of protected trees in the Frankfurt city forest. While the protests and related lawsuits were unsuccessful in preventing construction, the Startbahn West protests were one of the major crystallization points for the German environmental movement of the 1980s. The protests even continued after the runway had been opened in 1984, and in 1987 2 police officers were killed by a gunman. This incident ended the Startbahn West protests for good. Because of its orientation in the north-south direction, in contrast to the other east-west runways, the use of the third runway is limited. The startbahn west can only be used for takeoffs to the south to avoid interference with air traffic on the other runways. Owing to this restriction, the runway must be partially or fully closed when northward winds are too strong. Terminal 2 and the second railway station, edit. In 1990, work on a new terminal, Terminal 2, began because it was anticipated that Terminal Mid would reach its capacity limit sooner than expected. The new terminal, divided into concourses D and E, was built to the east of the existing terminal where once the Empfangs- Lajost had been. With its opening in 1994, Frankfurt Airport increased its terminal capacity to 54 million passengers per year. Along with the terminal opening, a people mover system called Skyline was established to provide a fast connection between Terminal 2 and Terminal Mid, now renamed Terminal 1. In 1999, a second railway station, primarily for intercity express long-distance trains, called Frankfurt Airport Long Distance Station, opened near Terminal 1 as part of the new Cologne-Frankfurt high-speed rail line. At the same time, local and regional rail services were based at the existing underground station, now renamed Frankfurt Airport Regional Station. Closure of the Rhine-Main Air Base, edit. On the 30th of December, 2005, the Rhine-Main Air Base in the southern part of the airport ground was closed and the US Air Force moved to Ramstein Air Base. The property was handed back to Fraport, which allows the airport to use it to build a new passenger terminal. The property of the housing area for the soldiers, called Gateway Gardens, which was located northeast of the airport site, was given back to the city of Frankfurt in the same year and will be developed as a business district in the following years. The Airbus A380 and the SQ, edit. From 2005 to 2007, a large Airbus A380 maintenance facility was built at Frankfurt Airport because Lufthansa wanted to station their future A380 aircraft fleet there. Both terminals also underwent major renovations in order to handle the A380, including the installation of a third boarding bridge at several gates. Lufthansa's first Airbus A380 went into operation in June 2010 and was named Frankfurt am Main. In 2011, a large office building called the SQ, a blend of square and air, opened at Frankfurt Airport. It was built on top of the airport long-distance station and is considered the largest office building in Germany with 140,000 m, 1,500,000 square feet, floor area. Main tenants are KPMG and 2 Hilton hotels. Since 2012, the people mover the SQ Metro connects the SQ with the 9-story parking structure. On a length of about 300 meters, the so-called Minimetro system with its 2 cabins can carry up to 1,300 passengers per hour. The constructor of the system was the Italian manufacturer Leitner. The 4th runway, edit. Plans to build a 4th runway at Frankfurt Airport were underway in 1997. But owing to violent conflicts with the concept, Fraport let residents groups and environmentalists participate in the process to find a mutually acceptable solution. In 2000, a task force presented their conclusion which generally approved a new runway, but of shorter length, only 2.8 kilometers compared to the other 3-4 kilometer long runways, which would serve as a landing-only runway for smaller aircraft. Additional requirements included improved noise protection arrangements and a strict ban on night flights between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. across the whole airport. In 2001, Fraport applied for approval to build the new runway, with 3 possible options. The conclusion was that a runway northwest of the airport site would have the least impact on local residents and the surrounding environment. The plans were approved by the Hessian government in December 2007. but the requested ban on night flights was lifted because it was argued that an international airport like Frankfurt would need night flights, especially for worldwide freight transport. Construction of the new 2,800 m, 9,186 feet, long runway northwest in the Kelsterbach Forest began in early 2009. In 2012, the website Airport Watch reports weekly protests have been occurring at the airport since the opening of a fourth runway a year previously. Developments since 2011, edit. The new runway officially went into operation on the 20th of October, 2011, with an aircraft carrying Chancellor Angela Merkel, performing the first landing on the 21st of October. The center line separation from the existing north runway is about 1,400 m, 4,593 feet. This allows simultaneous instrument landing system, ILS, operations on these two runways, which has not been possible on the other parallel runways, which do not meet the 3,500 feet, 1,100 m, minimum separation for ILS operations. This allowed the airport to increase its capacity from 83 to 126 aircraft movements per hour. On the 11th of October, 2011, the Hessian Administration Court ruled that night flights between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m., the so-called mediation snacked, are no longer allowed at Frankfurt Airport after the inauguration of the new runway, and therefore overrode the approval from the Hessian government from 2007 which allowed 17 scheduled flights per night. On the 4th of April, 2012, the German Administrative Court confirmed the decision of the Hessian Administration Court, banning night flights between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. To handle the predicted passenger amount of about 90 million in 2020, a new terminal section adjacent to Terminal 1 for an additional 6 million passengers opened on the 10th of October, 2012. It is called Flugsteige Plus and exclusively used by Lufthansa mainly for their long-haul flights. Flugsteige Plus features 8 parking positions that are able to handle 4 Airbus A380s or 7 Boeing 747-8-747-400 at once. In November 2016, Ryanair announced the opening of a new base at Frankfurt Airport with 4 routes to Spain and Portugal. This move by Ryanair was heavily blasted, especially by Lufthansa, as Ryanair was granted high discounts and incentives regarding the airport's fees. On the 28th of February, 2017, Ryanair announced its winter program for Frankfurt which will see a further 20 new routes being added. 2011 shooting, edit. Main article, 2011 Frankfurt Airport shooting. Albanian citizen, Arid Yuka, a 21-year-old at the time, targeted a United States Air Force bus parked outside the terminal building that was supposed to transport 15 U.S. airmen to Ramstein Air Base. He reportedly walked up to a waiting airman, asked him for a cigarette, and wanted to know whether the airmen were bound for Afghanistan. When the airman said yes, according to German prosecutor Rainer Griesbaum, Yuka waited for the airman to turn away and then shot him in the back of the head, killing him. Shouting Allahu Akbar, the attacker then entered the bus, shooting and killing the driver, and continued to fire 3 shots at 2 other airmen, wounding them. When he pointed his pistol at the head of another airman and pulled the trigger, the weapon jammed. Yuka fled, but was pursued by the civilian airport employee Lamar Joseph Connor and Staff Sergeant Trevor Donald Brewer and shortly afterwards overpowered by 2 German police officers. He was subsequently arrested. Connor and Brewer later received the Order of Merit of the Federal Republic of Germany in a ceremony on the 16th of January, 2012. Federal Interior Minister Hans-Peter Friedrich presented the decoration, citing their exemplary courage and action which helped the federal police arrest the suspect. Yuka was sentenced to life and will be deported. COVID-19 pandemic, edit. Portions of the airport were closed in early 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Northwest Runway and Runway 18 West were closed on the 23rd of March and repurposed for parking unused aircraft. Terminal 2 was also closed, and all passenger operations were concentrated in Terminal 1. The Northwest Runway reopened in July to handle summer tourist demand, while Runway 18 West remained closed. With almost no passenger traffic in the spring months, Frankfurt's total passenger volume in 2020 fell to 18.8 million, the lowest figure recorded since 1984. Facilities, edit. Terminals, edit. Frankfurt Airport has two large main passenger terminals, 1 and 2, and a much smaller dedicated first-class terminal which is operated and exclusively used by Lufthansa. As is the case at London Heathrow, Tokyo Narita, Toronto Pearson and Chicago O'Hare's future global terminal. Terminal operations are grouped for airlines and airline alliances rather than into domestic and international routes. Terminal 1, edit. Terminal 1 is the older and larger one of the two passenger terminals. The landside is 420 meters long. It has been enlarged several times and is divided into concourses A, B, C and Z and has a capacity of approximately 50 million passengers per year. Terminal 1 is functionally divided into 3 levels: the departures level on the upper floor with check-in counters, the arrivals level with baggage claim areas on the ground floor and, underneath, a distribution floor with access to the regional station and underground and multi-level parking. Departures and arrivals levels each have separate street approaches. A bus station is located at arrivals level. Terminal 1 has a total of 103 gates, which include 54 gates equipped with jetways, 25 in Concourse A, 18 in Concourse B, 11 in Concourse C. Concourse Z sits on top of Concourse A, sharing the same jet bridges between both concourses. Flights to non-Schengen destinations depart from the Z gates and Schengen flights depart from the A gates. Pier was extended by 500 meters in 2000, and a link between Terminal 1 and Terminal 2, as well as the whole C extension opened in 2008. On the 10th of October, 2012, an 800-meter-long westward expansion of Terminal 1 called Pier A Plus went into operation. It provides more stands for wide-body aircraft like the Airbus A380. Terminal 1 is primarily used by Lufthansa, its associated companies, Brussels Airlines, Eurowings, Swiss International Airlines and Austrian Airlines, and its Star Alliance partners, for example Aegean Airlines, Air Canada, Air China, Air India, All Nippon Airways, Asian Airlines, Croatia Airlines, Egyptair, Ethiopian Airlines, LOT Polish Airlines, Scandinavian Airlines, Singapore Airlines, South African Airways, TAP Air Portugal, Thai Airways International, Turkish Airlines and United Airlines. Some airlines that are not part of the Lufthansa Group or Star Alliance also use Terminal 1. They include Air Malta, Bulgaria Air, Iran Air, Oman Air and Tunis Air among others. SkyTeam member airline Middle East Airlines uses Terminal 1, concourses B and C. Terminal 2, edit. Terminal 2, which has a capacity of 15 million passengers a year, was opened in 1994 and is divided into concourses D and E. A continuous concourse between Terminal 1C and 2D provides direct, but non-public access between the two terminals. It has 8 gates with jetways and 34 apron stands. a total of 42 gates and is able to handle wide-body aircraft such as the Airbus A380. Terminal 2 is primarily used by airlines of the One World, for example American Airlines, British Airways, Cathay Pacific, Finnair, Iberia, Japan Airlines, Qatar Airways, Royal Air Maroc, Royal Jordanian, Sri Lankan Airlines and S7 Airlines, suspended, and SkyTeam alliances, for example Aeroflot, currently suspended, Air France, China Airlines, China Eastern Airlines, Czech Airlines, Delta